Check, check, 1, 2. My name is Nick Dundas. Welcome to Van Candy. We've got some recording equipment. The microphones They were not working, so we're going to just use the attached mic. You might hear some extra noise. My apologies. Should be better than what was happening on the last episode. So, thanks again for tuning in. I am driving down to Tacoma Comedy Club for the last few spots for the weekend I've been doing down there. I've been opening up for Jason Banks, and it's been super fun. That guy has a big fan base, not just from TikTok, but from the decade and a half of stand-up he's been doing across the country. He's a killer. So is his feature, Kenny Mock. Both super nice guys, and I've never seen a line bigger for autographs after a show. I've seen some big names come through there. I've seen a lot of people wait to say hi to their favorite comedian and take pictures. Not like these guys. These guys really know how to, I don't know, get girls wet? I have no idea, but it's a great time. So I just filled up with gas in my Chevy Astro, and I'm taking the drive from Seattle to Tacoma. I'm actually going to open up for Casey Frey at 4:30. He's doing like a matinee today. That should be exciting. He's also a TikToker, but primarily that, so it'll be interesting to see what he puts on stage. I'm hoping there's some dancing because he is impressive with the moves. I am not, so I might take some notes after my set here. Anyway, I'm a little upset of how much this costs in gas. These trips have been making me realize how terrible this car is in mileage, and I spent $40 and it filled up, I want to say a little less than half the tank. Yeah, because I get about 21 gallons here. $40 was about 10. And it was 2 trips to and fro Tacoma with traffic and give or take some side street excursions in Seattle. Not many, though. Not more than like 5-10 miles. And I was on the red E for a little too long. I wasn't sure if I was going to make the gas station today, so I just filled up with my Safeway, and I'm crying a little. But we're getting paid for this, so this is fine. I'm still going to net. I'm happy. Get some free meals. Going to steal some candy from the green room. It's not really stealing. I'm just going to eat candy from the green room. I still got that poor guy mindset where if something's free, I'm like, I need 30 of them to bring back home. And everyone's like, it's fine. Just don't be that guy. And I'm like, I'm that guy. I'm still that guy. Whoa, that's a loud cough. That's a loud breathe through the nose, huh? Some ASMR. You realize how rickety this car is. Oh, I'm in the wrong fucking lane. That's awesome. Sorry, guy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, BM. I'm going to do it. You got to let me. Oh, you fuck. There's Volvo in front of me. Like to stop on a dime. I don't think it's his fault. Everything's my fault right now because I'm doing what I'm doing. So I can't imagine I'm the most alert. Oof, that's great. Anyway. Yeah, it's been fun. I had good family friends of mine come to watch me perform at the Late Show. And Friday shows at any club, the Late Show is notoriously the worst show. It's the smallest audience, the rowdiest audience. They're also the most tired because they had a whole week of work and they've been drinking. So there's just a lot going on. And oftentimes, even like the biggest name headliners who've been doing it for a while will not even do a late Friday show. They'll have someone else do it, or they just won't book it at all because they're just not trying to do that. Someone like me needs to do those to get better and to learn how to manage the crowd, which I'm fortunate enough that Jason Banks and Kenny both have such a following that the Friday show was poppin' still, Late Show at least. The first one was almost sold out. The second one, more than half, I think, and that's great. And they were loud and ready to go, so I was so happy. So my family friends came to watch, and I was so happy that they were happy because one of them has been to enough of my shitty open mics where they rightfully can be like, yeah, man, maybe this isn't for you. They've seen me at my worst. My dad has also seen me at my lowest in terms of like quality comedy because he saw me at the first room I was producing shows in at this dive bar that I loved, and we've had some fun shows, but with all those highs, there's like double the lows. It's just 10 people that don't want to be there, that are just trying to do trivia, and they're just angry at you for even making them pay to watch this, and your dad's just like so proud of you, but also like, gee, she's got a long way to go. So this friend has been there since the beginning. He's seen me bomb at open mics, even sets where I'm hosting, and that's a bigger deal in the open mic world in terms of just getting more time on stage, and I'm still just eating it because there's It's just because of me. There's no one else to blame. So when you do really well in front of a big crowd, and then the energy even gets bigger with the following comedians, it's great. It's just like, now they're like, oh, I get what you're doing. So you got to prove to these people that you mean business. But I can't even say unlike many people. These guys have always been supportive. I say rightfully so. They can tell me not to do this, but they don't. They're just like, cool, keep going. I have too many people in my life who are like, don't stop. And I'm like, all right, well, I wasn't gonna, but now I want to because you keep saying that. So I'm a contrarian, like most comedians. Oh, it is a nice day out. I can't believe we're talking about the weather, but I can see, you never get tired of that. It's 6 years in this state, and there are mountains in every direction, so when you see them, you're like, whoo-wee. I'm not going to hike you, but I'll look from afar, literally 100-something miles away. Did I take the wrong... No. Damn, that's hilarious. No, I-5's right there. I'm about to get onto I-5. I took my dog for a walk. So my dog is she's such a pooper, dude. I told you guys about how she pooped and threw up. She's just a nervous dog, right? She's so lovable. She's pretty energetic. She has been gaining some weight lately, so maybe a little less energetic, but whatever. Just American Pit Bull bully mix. And she's the cutest of the cute. She used to be so friendly to everyone. In the past 2 months, something turned. I'm just realizing that it's because she's getting comfortable. And she now thinks, oh, I need to protect this house. So anyone that walks in, I'm going to... Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I almost freaked the fuck out. I don't know if you can't see this if you're listening on Spotify, the two of you that are listening, but I felt something moving in my headphones. Like, just moving around in my ear. And I'm like, there's a bug in my over-ear headphones that's now crawling down my ear canal. It's just a long hair. My girlfriend had a wig extension on the table that I left these headphones on, and it's a long Ariana Grande-esque hair in my ear. We're going to just ignore that for now. I might scream if it feels like a spider again, but we were talking about something. My dog, Peanut, she's a monster. She's anxious, and now she thinks she has to defend me and my girlfriend, and just my girlfriend and I. That's it. That's all she cares about, who she cares about. So anyone that comes in that's new, she's never seen, she freaks the fuck out. And we tell people, we warn them, and people are still excited to see a dog. They're like, it's fine. But it's never fine. At least lately it hasn't been. Because we'll be like, don't look at her, just ignore her, have a treat in your hand, don't move quickly. It's like all these crazy things that I'm surprised people are okay with doing. And then when they do it, she's still like trying to almost bite them and just go crazy. So, which I hate, dude. That frustrates me. And then on top of that, she ran away recently again. She's run away before. Maybe it takes 15, 20 minutes to get her back home. But she ran the fuck away for an hour and a half in like 35-degree weather. And it's not like I had time to go get my coat and a leash. You have to just follow her. The faster you run, the faster she runs. So you got to walk fast. And then she just dicks around the whole time. She's just like sniffing and barking at other dogs. And like if you gotta like corner her. There's 4 different occasions. I'm in a parking garage. I'm in someone's driveway. I'm just in some lot, and I'm just trying to fucking corner her and just tackle the ground. People think, well, a lot of people were really nice about it. People on the street saw what was happening, and I live in Ballard, Seattle, as I mentioned before, and a lot of dog walkers, a lot of dog owners. There's poo and pee everywhere. So a lot of people were supportive. They knew exactly what was going on. I was surprised. I thought people would be mad at me. They're like, I was anticipating getting in a fight with someone who just thought I happened to not have my dog on a leash for fun, or just thought I was trying to beat up a dog. But they all were like, we've been there. We literally know what's happening to you right now. So we're going to help. I had couples with a dog run into the grocery store to get treats and try to distract. I had this woman run into her house and just help me corner her. Still didn't. It helped in that she stayed still for 5 to 10 minutes, but every time I reached or gave her a treat, she'd just run back away. Oh, dude, so anxious. So an hour and a half of this long chase. Thankfully, humans have probably the best endurance of any creature. She was getting tired. She went up this driveway. Big mistake, doggo. There are bushes on each end, so she couldn't really escape left or right. She just had the up and down, and that's when I tackled her. She started screaming like I've never heard her scream before, as if I was going to hurt her. Which I'm not. I'm just trying to keep her to the ground. My girlfriend came and rescued us. We were stranded in some nice part of the neighborhood 30 fucking blocks away at least. Oh my god, dude. That was... And on top of all this, she runs down the street. She, like, wants to get hit by a car. She's just like... The busiest roads were the ones where she's like, I'm gonna have fun here. Let's play leapfrog. Dude. Oh my god. And then she's, like, taking a shit, and then I'm like, oh, this is when I can grab her, even though this was gross. But then she'll pinch it off quick and run and finish it somewhere else. Like a fucking animal. So, I bring this up because she's been on her worst behavior, and my girlfriend and I were like, let's get a trainer. And my girlfriend's the one taking care of it, but I was there when we first met this guy named Mateo. Highly recommend anyone in Seattle who needs a trainer to talk to this guy, because he's the man. And he just showed us some leash tips off the bat. She was barking crazy. He takes this, like, leather whip looking thing, but then it's got a chain link. It's got a chain neck brace with a leather leash, and you just yank it a few times. You're just supposed to... It seems aggressive because the dog's yelping and she's freaking out, but it just shows her that you're in charge, not her. She should never be leading. That was the problem. She was leading every time we walked around, and these are just the basics. So now every time I go on a walk with her, which has been the past week since we've talked to Mateo, she's been on her best behavior. She's right to my right. She knows that I'm taking the lead. She, like, sits when I tell her to sit. She's just much more observant because she doesn't want to get pulled and she doesn't get yanked. I'm hoping with time she won't be so nervous that we're going to hurt her, because that's not the plan. But so far, big improvement. But today we went for our first run since that training, because I'm like, in times past, even though she was pretty yanky when we were walking around, when we run, that's a pace she prefers. So I'm like, cool. So that's what was happening. I'm maybe 10 blocks in. I've maybe done a little more than half a mile, and she's getting a little tired, but we're about to turn around, and I'm gonna slow down, I swear to you. And she doesn't think we are. She thinks we're going in this direction. I don't know what she was thinking, to be honest, but she then stopped she stopped her hardest on a dime and started screaming. She was yelping as if I was gonna take her somewhere she didn't want to go. And the leash came out of my hand and she tried to run away again. But thankfully the leash was just dragging a good 4 or 5 feet, so I just was able to step on it. She chokes and flips, and then he's like, bah, bah, bah. And I'm just like, dude, I love you. You know I love you. It's love. It's nothing else. I've ran into oncoming traffic so that you don't die, and I might. For hours. I feed you, and oh, dude. So, yeah. So that was upsetting. But with time, she'll be fine. My mom's coming in a few weeks. She's not going to meet my mom. I don't trust that at all. Unfortunately. My mom likes the cats. We're good with that. She loves dogs too. She's good with them. That dog is not good with people right now. So maybe she'll say hi outside at one point if we go to a dog park, but that was frustrating. Back to the gas too, man. Like, people might be like, why did you drive back and forth to Tacoma to Seattle when you could have just stayed there at night in your van? And it's like, I want to go back home and sleep in my bed with 2 cats and a dog that choose to sit on your face, all of whom, including my girlfriend, so 4 animals and me, all snore. I have the biggest nose, and I don't snore. That actually makes sense as I say it out loud. I have the biggest holes, so that more breathing. Everyone else somehow has a deviated septum or something. So that dog snores. My girlfriend snores. Both cats, it's not as bad as those 2, but you can hear it still. And what bothers me the most isn't the snoring, it's the incessant 2 a.m. licking. That's what they like to do. They're like, ooh, I feel dirty. I'm going to go for an hour and a half. If you turn the light on in a room, honestly, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I have squinty eyes, but lights don't affect me. You could turn the brightest flashlight in my face while I'm sleeping. Maybe I'll wake up. That was an exaggeration, but I'm pretty fine with light. I could stay asleep. My girlfriend cannot. She does not like when I turn a light on or the computer screen's on, anything. She has a hard time sleeping. Thankfully, they have masks for that, but she doesn't like wearing them. I don't know why. Anyway, I hate sounds when I'm trying to sleep. Those bother me. For some reason, she's fine. I could whisper something in her ear the whole time she's sleeping, and she'd stay asleep. Impressive, to be honest, because it makes sense that she's built the stamina to be able to do that, because she's had to wake up at crazy hours doing overnight shifts, both at school and for work at her last job. So good on her, but I don't have to do that. In fact, I'm someone that likes to sleep in sometimes. So the sounds, that's what gets me. It's, oof. And the worst part is when you have cats, and cats specifically, because they're, I would say, smart. Maybe they're not smarter, but they're fuckers. They just know how to deal with you. If a cat wants to sleep with you and you deny it the sleepingness section, it wants to sleep on your face, it wants to sleep on the bed, period, but it keeps making noises, so you just throw it, you toss it to the side, you just take it off the bed, they know that they'll start annoying you so that you would let them back on the bed. We have a cat named Callie. She's the obese one. She's not that fat, but I tell her to her face every day she's obese. Because I'm not allowed to say it to actually fat people, so I say it to the cat. But I say it lovingly so she doesn't realize that I'm talking shit. I'm like, you're so fat, you little fatty. Oh, you're just chunky. Everybody does that. I'm not weird to do that. Anyway, I don't say it like that either. You think I do, but I don't. You throw the cat off the bed, and then she's like, oh, so it's war. And she starts fucking sprinting up and down the kitchen, onto the fucking pots and pans, like she wants to play, and she's just like, meow. She's making noises. That's not her running by quickly. It's meow, meow. It's just, oh, dude. The other one doesn't do that. The other one snores loudly, the one that's special needs, but she stays on her own. If she can't get like sleep time with us, if I deny her the face sit while I try to sleep, then she goes to another room and chills. She's like, oh, there's a little heat pad here. They've created this space for me. I am thankful. I am a good person. This other cat, Callie, not a good person. Evil. Causes the most drama in the house because wants the most attention. She gets all these little siblings and now she's upset. She's mean to the dog. Although the dog, as much as I don't like that the cat is mean to the dog could rip anybody's face off, so including my own. So as much as the cat instigates, it's like, right, you gotta intervene because you'll die. This dog won't die because you swiped it, but you'll die because she'll go chomp in 2 seconds. And yeah, I'll be a little happy for 2 minutes, but then once my girlfriend finds out that happens on my watch, I'm a dead man. We are on I-5, where I can see some of Mount Rainier, just the bottom of it. There are clouds, so you're like, how big is this mountain? It's fucking big. Alright, guy. Damn. I can tell you can hear all these sounds. This is a microphone that picks up a lot, which is good. This is a very powerful recording device. My voice isn't good enough to compete with what's going on here. The phone microphone might be a better recording. We'll find out. I feel like you guys don't want to know about the tech behind the maybe lack thereof tech. I promise you we are getting better recording devices. I will be putting out episodes more consistently. I'm playing around with what this could be. I do love doing it in the car. I already talk to myself anyway when I drive, whether I'm telling myself jokes or getting into arguments, both real and fake, with people. Sometimes I'll like sit back and think about all the things I could have said to those bullies in middle school or high school, or all the things I could have said to people I dated. Someone that said something so stupid, it takes you so many years to be like, wait a minute, that's not true. I remember my dad, maybe I mentioned this before, but my dad was like, when I was a kid, I asked him what Kwanzaa was. I watched an episode of Arthur where Muffy and her family, I think they were hippos, celebrated Kwanzaa, which means they were black hippos, I guess. African American hippos. And I was like, what's Kwanzaa? And he's like, it's just some made up holiday. It's not real. I was like, okay. And then recently, years later, decade later, I was like, yeah, wait a second. Christmas is made up. Santa Claus isn't real. And then I confronted him. I'm like, dude, this is all made up. And he's like, I know. I was like, oh. He's like, I grew as a person too. I had 10 years to develop. I was like, oh, fuck. I sat with this for too long. There's a bit there. There's a bit everywhere. There's always a bit. My girlfriend is, I'm glad she's, It's funny when I tell her. She likes that I say funny stories. She likes when I tell her stuff, but she starts realizing when I exaggerate. She's now getting on to when I start making it a bit, and that's when she gets mad. I was on the phone with my mom. My mom has always referred to me as the girl she's never had because I was the most flamboyant. I still am. I liked fashion. I liked as much as I liked sports. Whenever I was doing team sports specifically, I was just not supposed to be there. Really, soccer was the easiest one for any kid like me, and my arms were out the whole time. Which the funny part is that didn't change. I played soccer in high school. I was okay. I would have been much better if I didn't stop goofing off, but I didn't. I didn't take it seriously. So they called me the bird because I had a beak and my arms were out the whole time. So I laughed really hard when my mom said I did that when I was 4 because I didn't know that. She was like, yeah, you just kept flapping your wings. And I was like, oh my God, why do I do that? Is it a power thing? I don't know. Do I feel confined? And this was just a time where I felt open and free? She's like, you'd be picking flowers at the goal. You were goalie because we couldn't trust you on the field, so we had to make you the goalie. Because you just cause the least damage. The defense would really have to save you a lot. And you were just picking flowers and your nose mostly, putting flowers up your nose. And that sounds about right. So I was telling my girlfriend this and she's laughing. And then I started adding to it. I was like, yeah. I would like lick the goalpost. And she's like, no, you didn't. You fucking piece of shit. Is this true? And I was like, yeah. It's true except for that part. So it's good. She calls me out. She doesn't like when I just start bits. But I have good friends that aren't comedians that love bits. They get into it. A lot of times people are like, what are you saying? And I was like, I'm pretending to be the guy you just referred to. I do that a lot where someone brings up someone I've never met before or an experience they had. They're like, my teacher did this. And then I pretend to be their teacher instantaneously to just add to it. And then they're like, why would you say that? And I was like, no, I'm your teacher. And they're like, oh, you should have said that. And I was like, I guess there wasn't a good enough impression. That's on me. Sometimes they get it. Sometimes it works. A lot of times it doesn't. But I still have friends that appreciate the bit nonetheless. Damn. I've been on this road so many times these past couple weeks. No complaints. No complaints here. One day, I'll go to Tequila. You know what? Maybe I could soon. Tequila, if you don't know, has a much more international. The community that lives in Tequila is much more international than what's north and south of it. The more south in Seattle you go, the more colorful it gets. It's pretty fucking white of a city. Tacoma, a little less, but still pretty white for the most part. But Tequila, right by the SeaTac airport, has way more going on for it. Pacific Northwest has a lot of Southeast Asian communities, Filipino specifically, and they have a Jollibee out here, which is the like McDonald's of the Philippines. And it's not bad. When I was in the Philippines, I went, and there's one down here in Tequila, and I hear it's popping. I hear it's a good time because the people are like, oh, this is my homeland, you know? It's weird that it's like instead of getting fries with your burger, which they'll give you burgers and stuff, and fried chicken because they love fried chicken in the Philippines, just a little thing of rice or noodles, which they'll put in like a bag. It's interesting. But it's not weird because I like those things too, so if I didn't like it, it'd be so weird. So, yeah. I definitely am I'm seeing more and more TikToks. TikTok is now realizing that what am I trying to say here? I have always been known as the guy who eats super healthy, like annoyingly healthy. Like, people always comment on it. They're like, you're just having quinoa and beans? And I'm like, yes, it's cheap and it's good protein and I don't feel like working out all the time. I love working out, but it takes so much time. So if you're like, what can I do to save time and stay in shape? If you eat so healthy and you run and do push-ups once in a while, you'll be so fine. It's like the amount, like the way my belly looked for the longest time was great. I've been working out more, but I've been eating way shittier and it's not as fine. I'm like, ooh, I do not like this gut. If I'm working out less and eating better, it's a better look for me specifically. That's how my genetics work. So, if I'm taking out these past few months, 6 months, maybe a year, I was always like the health nut. And it was never like, you gotta eat these things. It was just like, I'm doing it for me. I'm just eating canned food that's salty, I know, but then it's just with vegetables constantly. I'm just pooping spinach, essentially, and quinoa, grains and whatnot. And so what I do to make myself feel better, because that gets so annoying. I used to boil chicken breast every day, not kidding, every day for a couple years, and then I switched to beans when I wanted to eat less meat and save money. And it was just like, I was meticulous about it. I wouldn't work out all the time, but I would eat like that all the time. And what I would do to make myself like not go crazy is I would constantly, while cooking, while eating that shitty food, I would constantly watch cooking videos of like people making the most decadent treats or meals that are really intricate. Sometimes it's just fried chicken and you're just like, oh. And that has been such a big popular thing on Instagram Reels or TikTok, is like people just making these 30-second cooking tutorials, and it's the best looking food. A lot of Mexican food that I really love, different tacos and birria stuff, and dude, and you don't taste it necessarily, but you feel like you're there, and you're a little more fulfilled, you know. And then you might learn one thing. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make this chicken and rice, but I'm gonna add this cool sauce that I saw that's not really unhealthy. So you save all those videos. And now TikTok knows that I, A, live in Seattle, because I talk about it on the post I put on, and B, love those food videos. So now I'm getting all these food people who live in the area, and that's dangerous, because they're now like, hey man, why would you boil that chicken when 2 streets away from your house you could get the best fucking chimichurri steak of your life? And I'm like, you're right. I just made $30 at this doing this host set at this bar. I could spend that $30 on the gas it takes me to get to the 2 streets away and have $10 left for, you know, the tip. And then basically I'm getting the meal for free. That's how I think. That's how people, whenever people from Seattle visit Vancouver, that's how they think. They're like, oh, the exchange rate is like, the American dollar is $1.20 Canadian currency, so this is a free meal. This is the cheapest trip I'm ever gonna take. But you end up spending double what you normally would somewhere in the U.S. So, but it ends up being so fun. We are in traffic now, as expected. We've been doing this 27 minutes. It's cool. I'm just learning how to talk with you guys. I don't get any feedback from you. Yeah, that was not funny. Sorry, everybody. I did that. You know, sometimes they're not always home runs, you know. Sometimes they're not even foul balls. Sometimes it's just a swing and a miss. You're just, ooh, what just happened here? Oh, well, we're getting in lots of traffic because I don't know if there was a collision. Don't follow me. You never know. I think some guy... Okay, what I'm trying to say is there was a lot of traffic because a police officer had his lights on in the middle of a lane. It was the carpool lane. And it looked like he was just stopping traffic there. And people were always rubberneck, including myself. I just did it. And either someone hit someone, either someone was speeding, or, which I suspect, someone was using the passing lane, or carpool lane, and only had one person in their car. Which, I'm going to be honest, guys, I made the mistake of getting drinks with friends before coming down to Tacoma last night to kind of chill myself, meet some funny people before doing these big sets. And I ended up leaving 10 minutes later than I normally leave from Seattle. But I was about 5-10 minutes closer to my destination. The problem is, if I hadn't done those drinks and I'd left a little earlier than what I was going to do, I would have beat this traffic. There was a collision in Tacoma, like right outside the highway, and I saw on my phone that I was going to be at the venue 10 minutes before it started, as opposed to the 20, which is what the managers expect you to be there, because they want to have a powwow. They don't want to worry about where you are. So I was like, ew. So I ended up going into the carpool lane and just zigzagging around. I was there about just as expected 10 minutes before, but they seemed to be cool about it. I texted them ahead of time. There was a collision. It was unforeseen, unfortunately. But no drinks this time. I'm showing up hours ahead of time because I'm not trying to make that even remotely that mistake again. I'm trying to learn my lessons here. Not ruin any opportunities. Boom, baby. Damn, a lot of trucks out here. A lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot of little dicks, but a lot of people look like me that move out here, so maybe a lot of little dicks. Maybe speak for yourself, Nick. Maybe I don't got a little dick. Maybe I got little balls, because I take so many steroids. I talk like a child from Brooklyn. Yeah, I took steroids, so now I talk like this. I got huge man boobs, and my calves, they're still really small. That's genetic. There's nothing you could do about it. I refuse to get implants, but I will take deer antler spray up my ass. My voice cracks sometimes, and I talk deep, and it's when I try to, once I talk deep, I have sex with my wife, but once the penis goes in, it goes high again. I'm excited. But then when I finish, I have this sexy voice, and I go down on her, and she loves it. My voice still cracks here and there. It's still, I don't know why that is. I have a decent range. I can get real deep. I can get real high. I'm not saying I'm a good singer. I'm just saying I can do these characters if I need to. I was an alto in the band. Oh, was I a tenor? No, I was a tenor. Fuck. Yeah, I was a tenor. Just below alto. But I could sing alto, dude. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. My mom was a soprano. And then one of the biggest insults I had for her ever, when she doesn't care, she's not offended by anything. She just rolled her eyes, but she was like, I was a soprano in the choir. I sang into college. And I was like, I bet you were a soprano too. And she was like, no. She said it in a French way. I believe her. She got a high-pitched voice when she sings, but Dad's a good singer too. I don't know. That's so weird. They both. It's not like they did it competitively. I did it in middle school. I didn't even do it in high school. I just liked to sing, but you don't practice, so I'm not good anymore. But I don't know what it is. Both my parents had solid singing voices. My dad would be goofy when he sang, but you could tell. It's like, oh, he's got it. Yeah, I'm sure he sang at church when he was a kid. His brother, my uncle, is a professional opera singer and now teaches at University of Miami, I think. Very impressive. That is a joke or a fun fact no one believes usually. I have an uncle who's an opera singer. And I wonder if he speaks Italian or anything fluently, because often you have to sing in Italian or Spanish or something. I bet he speaks Spanish if he's in Miami. Anyway, it's in the genes, baby. If this comedy thing doesn't work out, I will do karaoke professionally. That's right. When I was in the Philippines, we're just wondering if there's a cop behind me, and I want to make sure that if he is a police officer, no, it's a mom. We're good. It's a mom, everybody. Anyway, I was in the Philippines with my friend Bill Pena, and we were backpacking around. He convinced me to drop out of school early, graduate, obviously, and spend what would have been my last semester traveling abroad, because it would have been cheaper, and I would have learned more, and it didn't take long for me to do it. I was like, I'm doing it. Here's the ticket. It's happening. He convinced me his senior year that I would do it my senior year with him. A lot of life lessons learned, one of which is that I'm surprised that I only like traveling so much sometimes, but it was fun. So fun. So I'm in the Philippines. There's islands everywhere, if you don't know. It's an island country with many smaller islands around it that are part of the country, and this is before their new leader / dictator. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seemed to be less violent than what is happening currently. It also could have been that I was just naive. I'm just a white dude right out of undergrad, so I would probably look fun. When in reality I wasn't. I actually got some funny stories later, but I'm on this not cruise ship, it's a ferry. I need you guys to know it's not a cruise, it's a ferry. You take a ferry and you get there around 6 o'clock at night, you stay one night, and then there's another night that you stay on, and then you're at the island. So it's pretty remote. So it's 2 nights technically. And you get there in the afternoon the next day, so it's 2 days, really. And there are 3 levels of classes. It's just like the Titanic. If in the first class, you're in the lowest area, but you get your own rooms. You go to this ferry and you sleep in these private spaces, some with elegant beds and TVs. Maybe no TVs, and others that just seem more like dorms. And then the second class, which Bill and I slept in, are these bunk beds that are inside. You get these insulated walls, it's heated, and there's just like hundreds of people in these bunk beds. And you're just like, you can see everyone sleeping. There's nothing to stop. When you change, you just go to a changing room and you go back out and sleep. You make sure that all your backpacks and gear have like locks. And then the top floor, which was outside, was the third class, lower class. That's where the majority of the people from the Philippines sat. So you had the rich couples in their 30s who took 5 to 10 years off after their investments turned into something from crypto. They get their own rooms. Then you get the college backpackers like me and Bill, freaking sleeping in second class, meeting people in the bunk beds, but at least it's warm. Then the third class, you're literally outside in sometimes the rain, choppy waters, in these cots. Some stacked, so they're bunk beds, but they're bunk cots. And that was nuts. It just looked like the country had been bombed, and like they were put it into cargo ships to go to the next country for safe. And to be honest, I'm sure that was some of them. Some of them were escaping something. That's what it looked like. They all were escaping something tumultuous, and I was there to watch and sing karaoke. They had karaoke every night. That's why I brought this up. 2 nights we were there. There was like drinks up top. You could buy food. It was funny actually. There was meals that they provided for the ticket that you purchased. You know, you spend $40 for this thing, and they give you 2 square meals. You can buy more if you want, but they'll give you those. And it's on a paper plate, and it's a cheese stick, and literally a sandwich with one thing in it, and that's fine. I wasn't expecting much more, but it was just like it was like a soup kitchen. You're just in a long line waiting for this plate, and you're just trying to save money and lose 20 pounds on this 2-month backpacking excursion. I lost so much weight just not eating as much. I was so focused on the money I was spending, I wasn't enjoying the trip as much as I should have. But I still had fun. I keep trying to convince you guys this was a fun trip. You guys are like, I don't think you like what was happening. Anyway, karaoke was fun. I'm not the worst singer, so when I do karaoke and I know the songs that hit, I usually do Steve Miller Band. Some people call me the Space Cowboy. That's an easy song. There's not a lot of range. It's kind of recognizable, but just enough not so where people are like, oh, I forgot about this, so they enjoy it. It's safe. I do other ones where I like emo music and people get into it because a lot of people are secretly emo. Maybe not a secret anymore. My friend Bill loves singing. He loves Rihanna. He loves Disney tunes. He loves to sing. I was on a trip with my girlfriend from Las Vegas to LA with him, 7 a.m. We had a Vegas night, which means we were more hungover than we'd ever been in our entire lives. We were throwing up on the side of the road. He sang the whole way, 4 hours, Disney music. It was my nightmare. It was terrible. And the reason why is because he's so bad at singing. He's very, very tone deaf. I shouldn't have used his real name because I love the guy, and this isn't talking shit. I'd rather you sing loud and proud and bad than not sing at all if you're good. I don't care. I enjoy it. But it was funny to watch because Filipino people, at least in the Philippines, love karaoke. They take it very seriously. And if you're not there to like play, if you're not there to like actually belt it out and know the words, then you're in trouble. Bill was a little drunk. Bill was singing Disturbia by none other than Rihanna. And he didn't know all the words because he was a little drunk. And he didn't hit all the notes. Most of the notes were not hit by him. He was hitting other notes. He was doing his own song. It was more than just booing, guys. People trying to throw stuff at him. They were just... I'd never seen more angry people. And, like, someone went up after and had to apologize on his behalf. But the crazy thing is, all the tourists that were there, which there were plenty, people from Australia, England, were loving it. We're just having a good time. That's the whole point of karaoke in my mind. Is like, you get someone who doesn't get to sing well, who gets a chance to sing at least okay because they have the backup vocals and the music. I was laughing my ass off because they were like, Disturbia. Anyway, the Philippines was, of the 3 countries I toured mostly, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines was the most dangerous but the most fun. I ended up doing a lot of crazy stuff that I look back on and we're like, damn, I can't believe that happened. one of the first nights we landed, I was in Cebu, maybe, not the capital, just another big city. And you look on your Google Maps and you're like, oh, I could take the bus to get to this place. So it's the middle of the day. We landed in the airport, and I'm like, I'm going to take the bus to get here because that's going to get me on this other thing. And the bus is not a bus. It's a truck that has a little cab cover, and they have these wooden stools that they throw in the back, and they fit 10 people and a few chickens, that's not a joke, in the back. So you're like, oh, you expect like even Bangkok or literally any other place on the planet. You're just like a big 6-wheeler that fits 100, 200 people with these metallic seats and poles. No, you're just sitting in the back of a pickup truck, and it was fun. Just looking at the city. It was really adventurous. You get out. There's a bajillion. You're like the only white guy, so there's a bajillion kids not wearing shoes or pants, and they run up to you like expecting change. They surround you like you're a camp counselor and you just won the basketball tournament, and they're happy for you. And they fucking, I was just like, I was like I'd like taped down my wallet and stuff so no one would pickpocket me. I feel like I'm a goofy enough guy where I look pickpocketable, even in this country. So it sucks. You walk around with a scowl on your face, hands in pocket, and you're just like, ugh, because you don't want to, you're afraid. You're being stupid. You're just not being open, and you don't want someone to rob you. When in reality, just chill out and you'll have a fun time. Even though that might happen, that's why you don't keep so much money on you. Things you learn. So that was happening. That was kind of the vibe a lot of the time, especially in the city. I was okay with that. It was all right. The food was good. I was meeting people. Like, that's what was happening in the country at the time. So there's no judgment here. But when we were deciding, like, we don't think this bus is gonna come. Let's just take an Uber. Uber was still pretty popular. I know weird Uber experiences where people try to take advantage of you, but this one takes the cake. Bill and I get into this shitty sedan, and this old guy's in the front, and Bill's sitting with him, and I'm in the back. Our bags are in the trunk, and we're half asleep because it's really late. We're finding a way to our hostel, and I look at my phone on the maps, and for the past 10 minutes we've been going the wrong way, completely the opposite direction. And I show Bill, and his eyes went from this to this, and I was like, hey man, we're going the wrong way. Do you mind turning us around? We have to go this direction. It's this street. And he was like, yeah, we're not doing that. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? We're going to my house. You guys are staying with me. And I was like, no, we're not. He's like, I don't like your people in my country. Immediately, because at first I was like, does he want us to stay at his hostel? Because when you're in Thailand, sometimes you can get a free or discounted cab or ride if you do a pit stop. It's so funny. Like, the guys who work for the cab companies also have siblings or colleagues that work for the suit companies. They're like, if you come here and walk around my brother's business, I'll discount this fare for you to get across the city. And you're like, cool, I want an adventure anyway. So I thought this was something like this. I was like, yeah, man, but this isn't even on the way. And he's like, yeah, I don't like your kind. You're staying with me. And, like, I could tell the guy's got a knife, and I'm just like, oh, dude. So I was like, we're getting kidnapped. It takes you a sec. You don't realize what's happening because it's just an old guy in a car, and you're looking outside, and it's not like anyone knows what's happening. So you see people enjoying their life, like getting drinks or like at a 7-Eleven, and you're just like, what? The doors suddenly lock, and you're just like, fuck. So I started shaking the guy's chair. I'm like, let us fucking out. Like, what are you doing? Like, I start screaming. Bill's sitting there. He's just staring at him. I know Bill he's a big, strong guy, so he could easily take this guy out. But we're getting close to the highway, and it's like, you don't want to crash a car. You don't want the cops to be involved. You don't know what that fucking turns into. So I throw cash in his face. I'm like, take this money and let us out. That's what he was trying to do. He wanted just our money. That's what's happened before in Thailand, where someone will drive me, but they're like, you need to pay. And I was like, I just paid on the app. And he's like, you pay me now. And I was like, oh, you want cash on top of this? You want the full fare twice. So I was just like freaking the fuck out. And he lets us out. We get our stuff. So now we're in the middle of a city that's even sketchier. We have no idea where we are. And stupidly, we call another Uber. We're like, this can't be worse. There can't be another thing that happens. It wasn't worse, but another thing happened. And what ended up happening was there's a woman who picks us up, and it's a nicer car. And she was really nice. And I was like, cool, I feel so much better. Bill sits in the back because he's like, I'm not sitting in the front anymore. That's creepy. I almost had to punch a guy driving. And so we're driving. We know we're going the right direction. She's like, oh, I know where this is. I have a friend who works at this place next to it. And I was like, cool. Again, it's getting way later at night. It's like 1 in the morning. We're supposed to check in our hostel at 11. I feel like they're probably mad at us. And we are driving, and the woman in a quiet street where I saw no one, it was like bushes, very residential at this point, hits a curb and almost hits a telephone pole or a light post, and it goes doo, 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 doo. And we're like, oh shit, I've never been in an Uber where someone crashed. That was nuts. I don't think there's much damage to the car. She clearly didn't damage any property, but she was just like, shit. And I was like, oh dude, it's okay. Are you okay? And she's like, no, that was bad. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, I want to give you 5 stars, but I don't know if I should, just because that happened. But I'm not trying to be a dick. Anyway, she does that, and she's like, no, you don't get it. This was really bad. And I was like, what? And a cop comes out of nowhere, just zooms in. And I was like, oh, what? And my experience in Southeast Asia is that this happens everywhere, so there's no judgment in these countries. But the cops, especially with tourists, like to haggle and will pull you over for any reason necessary so that they can get money out of you. Again, it's just like the taxi guy who tried to kidnap us. It's always a bribe. I took mopeds in Indonesia and stopped on the crosswalk. My tire was like 2 inches into the crosswalk, and he tried to charge me like $50 for doing that. He took me to the police station. He's like, either you stay here in the police station or you pay me now. I was like, you had to haggle with him. You're like, I don't have money. They're like, but you're in college. And I was like, that means I don't have money. Like, you don't get it. Like, it's a scam. You'd explain to him the American education system, and he gets bored. So you're like, all right, just give me $10. You're like, great. Anyway, this happens again where the police pulls us over, and this woman gives the guy the ID and stuff. He's like looking with the flashlight what we're doing. We're just trying to get to the hostel. He doesn't even ask us questions. He says, come with me. And she's like, starts tearing up and says, okay. Gets out of the car and leaves. The cop takes her away. That was it. Cop is gone with the woman. Bill and I are in the back of the car. No one's in the front. I don't want to call the cops because then they'll kidnap us. We're a 20-minute walk away from the hostel. So we're like, let's just fucking walk in our flip-flops in the middle of the night. If I get kidnapped again, I swear to God, I'm going to hit someone with my suitcase. That's what's going to happen. And that's what happened. And then the rest of the trip was smooth sailing. There was not much else that went on that was crazy like that. But that was, nuts. Thailand was similar in that Thailand was interesting because Thailand had a lot of wild dogs. There was just like packs of wild dogs in the city, in the country. Chiang Mai and Pai are more farmy towns that are north of Bangkok, so not these big city centers, but they still have like a small city. And I almost got attacked by a pack of wild dogs. I was walking late from to my hostel, which was just like a cottage on a hill, which was super cute. I can't believe I just said that. It was super cool, manly. And it was 2, 3 in the morning, middle of the night, and there's like 6, 7, 8 dogs, and then they just turn to you, and they're like, and they start like getting closer, and you're like, there's literally no escape. I'm gonna die. This is how I remember thinking like, damn, okay, fist? No. I have to punch dogs right now. That's nuts. I was just drunk enough where I was like, I can do it. But I knew in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I cannot do this. But I had to do something. And so I was just trying to, like, you learn that, like, if you don't give them eye contact and you look at the opposite way, your hand out, maybe it's fine. But these are packs of wild dogs. This isn't just your cousin's pit bull. You know what I mean? There's 8 of them. And another dog behind me, a little, like, mutt, just started like jumping out of nowhere, out of these bushes, out of like a field behind me, and just started barking like crazy at them and saved my life, I think. Just protected me. She was like, this is a good person. Don't do this. That's what I at least translated via bark. And they turned away. And then that dog followed me all the way back to my hostel to make sure I was fine. I was like, I love you. I love you and your species. Dogs like that happen all over Thailand. Like you're going for a hike and you're told on the website or on the tourist thing that you're going to get a guide. Once in a while, the guide was a dog. This woman's like, yep, he's got you. And you're like, what? and you go up this mountain, volcano even, and every half mile, the dog stops ahead of you and waits for you to come because there's a fork and it goes the right direction, and you're like, holy fucking shit, dude. It was so cool. Anyway, I'm about to be at my friend's house. I got some shows tonight. I'll let you know how they go. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you have a great whatever. I love you. Bye.